All right, let's get started. Hello, everyone. This public listening session of the Board of Education for December 8th, 2025 is called to order. This meeting is being streamed live on PPS TV Services website. Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for being here tonight to provide your feedback on Superintendent's proposal for an assignment area for Jefferson High School. Before we get started, I want to ask each board member to take a moment to introduce themselves. Maybe we can start with Director Engelsman.
Hi, I'm Zone 6 Director Stephanie Engelsman.
Virginia LaForte, Zone 5, Northeast Portland.
I'm Christy Split, Zone 1, Southwest Portland, but lived in this neighborhood for 12 years before I got trapped moving closer to Salem, and I miss it a lot, so it's good to be back in my old neighborhood.
Michelle DePass, Board Vice Chair. I actually attended Jefferson in the late 70s, and I live in the neighborhood.
Eddie Wong, PPS Board Chair. Thank you.
Ian Retorto, Student Representative, and I'm a senior at Roosevelt High School.
Rochelle Chase Miller. I grew up in the Jefferson neighborhood. This is my hood. Glad to be in the house tonight.
Kimberly Armstrong, Superintendent.
Just a couple of notices before we begin. We have childcare available this evening. If you would like to use the service, please check in at the table outside the doors to the auditorium, and someone can direct you to the correct location. We also have interpreters this evening who are stationed at the back of the auditorium. I would like to ask all of them to please come down and introduce themselves in their language.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Татьяна, я русский украинский переводчик. Если кому-то надо, то я буду там. Спасибо.
中文翻译，如果有需要的话，请到后面来找我，谢谢。
Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Patricia Cardiel. Soy una de las intérpretes y ocupan ayuda en español. Gracias.
السلام عليكم مقعي جمال الله الدارب تان Somali interpret ground for in IMO inshallah.
Xin chào, tôi là người thông dịch viên ở đây. Ai mà có nói tiếng Việt hoặc là thông dịch tiếng Việt thì hãy gặp tôi ở dưới đây.
magacaydu waa Bashaar Nuur waxaana turjumaan Soomaali haddii qofku u baahan yahay Soomaali in loo turjumo anaa u turjumaya
我是中文翻译，需要的话我坐后面，谢谢。
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Joana, también soy una intérprete en español.
Awesome, thank you, thank you. All right, next up, I'd like to turn this over to Principal Sheldon.
Cool, thank you all, thank you. So I just wanted to welcome you all. Thank you for coming out to listen to and have conversations around the dual assignment. We've been at this for a while now. And, you know, I just want to say this is a big win and exciting time to be a demo. To have your support, to have your presence, to come here and obviously give public comment to the board means a lot to our community. It is a special time to be here. We are doing some amazing things in our school, and we're so happy to welcome these new families aboard to come on and be part of the demo life. So I'm going to say demos I say, and the response is you know. So here we go. Let's see how we do it. Demos I say. Okay, let's do it one more time. That was really, really, really good. But we got to set the mood because this is the demo house, and we are a community school. So part of being in this community is knowing the chant, right? Knowing the response. So you get to be, you future demos get to have this response put down. So here we go. Demos, I say.
You know.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Thank you all. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it back on to Chair Wong. Thank you.
this back on. All right. Good evening. Before we start tonight, we have cameras here. We have some people here. I want to offer a few words about last week, our Tuesday board meeting. When I say this, I would like to kindly ask the board to stand up in solidarity because this comes from all of us. After Tuesday night's board meeting, the board took time to reflect, honestly and without excuses, on what unfolded in that room. We agreed that parts of the meeting did not reflect the level of respect, clarity, or care that our community expects from its elected leaders. For that, I want to offer a sincere apology on behalf of the entire board. This is a new board, still learning to govern together. Healthy debate is part of public service, but the way we show up for one another and for you matters just as much as the decisions that we make. We acknowledge that public disagreement, healthy debate, can coexist with respect. We also know we fell short in tone, in empathy, and in clarity. Some moments Tuesday night left members of our community feeling dismissed, unheard, or undermined. Some comments were experienced as microaggressions. That is not the environment that we intend to create and is not who we want to be. As chair, the responsibility to set the tone of our meetings rests with me. I take that very seriously, and I want you to hear directly from me. We will and we can do better. I stepped into this role because I believe deeply in public service. My background in education taught me that leadership is measured not by how loudly we speak, but by how consistently we honor the people we serve. I am committed to fostering a culture where disagreement is welcomed, but disrespect is not. Where accountability is embraced and not avoided. And where every person who walks into our boardroom, student, family, staff members, or community member, feels safe to speak and safe to be heard. To those who experienced harm on Tuesday night, I hope you will allow us the opportunity to repair it. Every constituent, regardless of their perspective, is a valued part of our community. Your voice matters in shaping PPS, and we are committed to rebuilding trust through actions, not words alone. I also want to be clear about something that extends beyond any single meeting. Threats, harassment, online taunting, and targeted attacks against board members, district staff, or our superintendent have no place in a healthy public dialogue. Thank you. Accountability is essential and we welcome it, but we must reject behavior that endangers individuals or erodes the very democratic processes that we rely on. We understand there is work ahead. We are committed to doing it together. We commit to better conversations, better listening, better action, and most of all, to serve Portland's children with the dignity, care, and hope they deserve. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for caring about this district. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to reflect, learn, and lead with greater integrity. So thank you very much. Now that I've hit my quota for words this evening, I would like to hand this over to Dr. Armstrong.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Principal Shelton. Good evening, directors and community. I'm excited to get into this opportunity to hear from community. First, though, I have with me Margaret Calvert, who will partner with me in this presentation, and really, I'm going to do the opening, which is coming up here soon. But that's okay. While we queue up, let me just, since you all are in the space of Jefferson High School, where the theater program and the dance program has the opportunity to perform, I just want to share a little piece of history in that this theater is the only place that allowed Black play production. And that's why it matters so much to the community, the size of this space. This space is the heart of the theater and dance program. And as Mr. Dan Coffey said, and the way that he put it is, it's a place of love and joy and work. This will be the largest auditorium out of the 3 builds, and we're super excited, and I would just want to acknowledge all those who have graced this space. So really, there's just 3 things that I want to talk about: the why now, why Scenario C, and why your voice matters here tonight. So first, why now? So we are committed to a healthy high school system. Stabilizing Jefferson strengthens our entire system. This recommendation demonstrates our commitment to providing students well-resourced learning environments close to where they live, and returns Jefferson to a vibrant neighborhood school built on its rich history. Our long-standing bond commitment ensures that every PPS student will graduate from a modernized high school, and that they will have access to academic programming and learning environments where they can flourish and demonstrate their excellence. So why Scenario C? Right? Many folks have asked, Dr. Armstrong, we're here at this session where we're supposed to provide feedback, and you already introduced a recommendation. Well, when we took the 3 scenarios out for public engagement, each were viable options that performed well on some of the factors that we have to consider, as well as highlighting the trade-offs between the factors. Scenario C balances proximity, enrollment feasibility, and long-range planning. This scenario to a path for all 4 high schools to have student enrollment that is projected to meet the minimum for stabilized academic programming, and it ranges between them and will increase programming. One thing I do want to say is that the engagement with the board over the next couple of weeks through this listening session, through the Teaching, Learning, and Enrollment Committee, and then through the board work session, creates opportunity now for the board to grapple with what you share tonight, what you've shared in emails, and when you showed up and expressed your voice and voiced your opinion and shared your concerns. All of that will be part of the board's deliberation, and they take final action either on this recommendation, modifications to the recommendation, or something entirely different in January. So the process is still open, but we wanted to have something to let you all know where we're landing and what my recommendation is to the board, so that we can just start that conversation. So that also brings in why your voice matters. We brought this recommendation forward so that the board can hear from you to help them make their decision. Which of the factors are most important to you? What are you seeing as a strength in the recommendation? How could it be improved? We look forward to hearing from you tonight. We look forward to hearing from you at the Teaching, Learning, and Enrollment Committee on Thursday for comment, and the board work session on December 16th, prior to the board vote on January 13th, as well as submitting your comment via email, and you will receive QR codes and information on how to do that. So we're excited to get this going so that we can hear directly from you. But before that happens, I want to turn it over to Margaret Calvert to share a little bit more on Scenario C. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. Oop, that was too close. Sorry about that. My name is Margaret Calvert. I'm one of the assistant superintendents here in Portland Public Schools. This place is near and dear to my heart. I've spent many an evening at a dance recital. Anybody been to one of the Jefferson dance recitals? If you haven't ever been to one, they are community events. It's a lot of call and response and dance, and it's a really joyful evening. I've spent time celebrating seniors and senior award assemblies and hearing folks share their hopes and dreams for the future. We've been here with plays and student assemblies and all sorts of pieces. And as Dr. Armstrong said, this space holds a particular place in the history of Portland. And the size of the auditorium and the modernization, it's really critical. We heard this loud and clear during the conceptual master planning and then through the planning process, that there is a belief that this space is a community space. and that it has served particularly our Black community very well when other spaces did not. And so moving forward, we're very excited to say that the modernization piece has the largest of the modernized auditoriums will be here at Jefferson. I'm going to be brief, because really we're here to hear from you, but I will take us through a couple of things about Scenario C. I'm going to go back and see if we can get back to this previous slide. Just as a reminder of where Dr. Armstrong said we were in the process. This process we started in June with the first sort of signaling of this with the board. So this is our fourth time in front of the board in various forms. So this started in June 10th. We've been in front of the Teaching, Learning, and Enrollment Committee on September 16th. We were there again on November 13th. We are here tonight. We will be at Teaching and Learning Committee on Thursday, and then a work session next week prior to a board vote. So there'll be 7 different times that there information about sunsetting Jefferson dual assignment zone will be in front of the board. We released the recommendation last Thursday. We held an open house here on Saturday for 3 hours. A lot of people came through. I really appreciate the conversations that people had in the space. And then we're here tonight with a listening session. Let's skip forward I'm sorry, I apologize. We'll get, so where are the pieces around the engagement? So there have been strategies that we wanted to make sure we heard from the community in a variety of ways. So there was initial outreach that was happening at back to school nights. We went through 6 formal community engagement sessions where we welcomed over 400 families and community members into conversation. We've received over 200 comments in the form, many, many more emails as well. I would say probably in the hundreds at this point with that. We're in the midst of student engagement. We've been to Ockley Green, to Harriet Tubman, we're going to be, and in Fabian. We are going to be back here at Jefferson on Friday working with the freshmen and sophomores, talking about what their vision is. And we are planning to go to Vernon. We're just we're finalizing that date. Probably tomorrow we'll have it worked out. The goal is to have engagement in a number of ways. So this was a piece, some of it's in person, some of it's been online. And then we were really committed to making sure that we had the website up so that if there was exchanges or questions that were asked, it was shared out to the whole community. A mailing went out. Some people have received a postcard in their mailboxes that went to over, I think, 40,000 families that have addresses within the Jefferson dual assignment as well. So with this piece, there is, in the lobby and in the foyer, there is a map that shows the the proposal to sunset dual assignment. This is Scenario C. So Scenario C has Jefferson with the feeder patterns coming from, the students coming from Woodlawn, Sabin, Chief Joseph, Beach, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Boise Elliott Humboldt, Fabian, and Vernon. Scenario C does have Irvington continuing to Harriet Tubman and then going on to Grant. You can see the Jefferson's boundary is in blue up here, Roosevelt's is in yellow, Grant's is in green, and McDaniel's is in red. Part of what we heard during the engagement session, there was quite a back and forth and some discussion about how do we determine proximity. So one of the pieces that we looked at was a transit analysis about how students get to school and how long it takes. In addition, there was a question about, like, what do we really mean about proximity? What is close? And I want to thank, I think, Director Engelsman for asking, hey, can't we just make some concentric circles and look at what the actual distance is? So what you have here are, the inner circle is 1 mile, and it's in green, and then the outer circle is 1.5 miles. And they're centered around each of the high schools. So we went through, these are only, what you see on this map are just the students that live within a mile or a mile and a half of a high school. So we were able to look closely at the places. You'll see that across the 4 high schools, Roosevelt does not have very much overlap with other schools, and we know that that is in part due to the geographical isolation, relatively speaking. And then Grant has a lot of overlap with both McDaniel and Jefferson. So this was a second part of what we were looking at when we were looking at some of the factors. So the superintendent recommends scenario C, that it is implemented starting in the fall of 27-28 with incoming 9th graders, and that it will be fully phased in by the 2030-31 school year. This scenario provides a path for all 4 high schools to have student enrollment that is projected to meet the minimum enrollment for stable academic programming, and ranges between them that will increase programming parity. Right now, the difference in between the largest and smallest comprehensive high school and right now in Northeast Portland is over 600 students. So this will bring the parity across all the campuses to closer to a range around 350. It's a little bit more than that when it's fully phased in 30-31. It also has a plan that all of the students that are historically underserved, and we define that in this particular scenario and process as Black and Native students and students who are multilingual learners. And in this scenario, all of the students will be in schools that are well-resourced, that is, that are above 1,100 students. The vast majority of students here also will have will be able to attend a high school that's within a mile of their house. The vast majority will. So the timeline that we have, and we projected about 27-28, provides stability and access to academic programming for current students as well as future students at Jefferson, and time for thoughtful implementation. So the timing of when staffing and budget, this is to make this decision and come to the a statement in January allows staffing and budgeting to be in place and in sync so that programming can be designed and clearly articulated when students, the first class of students come in the fall of 2027. So this gives us time to get in sync with the budget and staffing process. This is just a zoom in on Jefferson, the number of students that live within a mile and a half and a mile of Jefferson. And again, a large number or proportion of students fall within that portion. This does not show all the students that live in the Jefferson catchment. As I said before, these only show the students that live within a mile and a half and a mile. You will see the peninsula falls outside of a mile and a half for both Jefferson and Roosevelt. And in this scenario, Peninsula would continue to Ockley Green and then on to Roosevelt. You'll also notice in the upper right-hand corner that Fabian also falls outside of a mile and a half of any high school. And so while this is a generalized way of talking about proximity, we also need to acknowledge that there are parts of every catchment that fall outside of a mile and a half. So the general pattern, as we said before, is that Peninsula and Beach Spanish DLI program would continue to Ockley Green, but then move to Roosevelt for high school. That the school that would go to Tubman includes Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary, the DLI program there, Boise Elliott Humboldt, Sabin, and Irvington would go to Tubman, but then Irvington would continue on to Grant and the rest would come to Jefferson. Fabian and Vernon, all the students would come to Jefferson, and then the last piece here is that you'll see that Chief Joe, Woodlawn, and I'm missing my glasses here, are not getting me, and Beach, thank you. Beach neighborhood go to Jefferson. yeah, thanks for the offer, Chief Kafori. My glasses will not work entirely well, but I appreciate the offer. The other piece about when we look at the factors, so proximity is one piece. Strong and stable feeder patterns that have students move together to high school or from elementary to middle school is also one of the considerations. So one of the pieces that happens with this is that we were, in the scenarios, A has the strongest move of students moving together through all levels. So this is where we said there's a trade-off. Where is that with split feeders? How many split feeders do we have in the district? What does that look like? So this is where the board is going to weigh two different parts of factors, and so that's part of what is going to surface as we go through the scenario. The other part about this is that we talked about the parity and stability of programming, and so this is where the size of the schools and how they get to a specific size is important. When we went through the analysis of the scenarios, we acknowledge that we need to pay very close attention to both Jefferson and Roosevelt. That Roosevelt has it's fairly isolated geographically, and we have to really pay attention to the numbers as we are moving forward through this process. And then at Jefferson, you know, what we want to see is how does this play out in terms of support for students that are currently here, and how do we grow and build culture that is going to be intentional and supportive. The final piece, as I said before, is that there's a way of measuring program parity. And so part of what that looks like is the size of the schools, the number of students, is reflective of the breadth of the programming and the depth of the programming. So while we don't get to, you know, we're not going to have exactly evenly sized high schools, but this does get us closer so that across Northeast Portland, regardless of where you live, you should have access to programming that's fairly similar. One of the other factors is around school utilization. When this is complete, all of the high schools, these 4 high schools, will all have been modernized. And when we look at the enrollment in this particular scenario, all of the schools will have utilization rates between 70 and 90%, which then is another factor that we need to pay attention to in terms of what is in board policy. The final piece in board policy asks us to think about which students are impacted and how many. And part of what we see with this is when we make this change, every student that's in the dual assignment zone is going to be impacted. So there's, regardless of the scenario, everyone is going to experience some difference. When we look at the growth over time, this is one of the pieces that Dr. Armstrong spoke to, which is how do we both see an increase in students at Jefferson and also mitigate the impacts on McDaniel, Grant, and Roosevelt. You'll see the first yellow box is the first year that we see an increase in enrollment at Jefferson, and this would be the current class of 7th graders. When we look at this change in class and the number of students, you have to think of this as the number of students who are entering are freshmen. So we are having an ability to build out programming based on freshmen as they come in. The next year would be freshmen and sophomores would be the new. Then it would be freshmen, sophomores, juniors. And by the time we're at 2030, 31, we'll have 4 years of students that will have made this adjustment. So we're cognizant both of the increases at Jefferson and also on thinking about what are mitigating the impacts and talking specifically about what are the impacts at Grant, McDaniel, and at Roosevelt. The other piece that we pay attention to is what happens with the demographics at all the schools. And when we see this, the changes in here, the largest impact is here at Jefferson. So this is one that we have seen before for folks that have been through various sessions. There's been we heard a lot about what is academic planning for Jefferson. There will be more details at the Teaching, Learning, and Enrollment Committee later this week. There are 4 pillars that we're building on that honor the legacy of what's happening here at Jefferson while also expanding opportunities. So we'll look at college preparatory coursework, and we'll build on dual credit that is here, and that we have processes here where both at the junior and senior year where it's dual credit for all, similar to what happens at Grant in the sophomore year, with AP U.S. History, and then also at McDaniel they have or AP Human Geography, excuse me, I think is that grant. So there's similar things that we're building. There'll be a connection of CTE pathways to some historical pieces here at Jefferson. There'll be connections with visual performing arts and CTE pathways, and that will be built out in conjunction with the modernization. And then, of course, we want to continue with partnerships and learning through collaboration where students can apply their learning in real life situations. An example would be our partnership with OHSU and the On Track program. So there are some planning milestones I just want to make sure we talk about, and then I will wrap up my comments. This winter, we will be looking at, we'll be focusing on course offerings, and for the fall, and looking at what are the places that we can launch a visual and performing arts, as well as partner engagement. We're working with our CTE program and our central office team to look at student surveys about youth science and looking at what both students are showing interest in and propensity to help shape what is the CTE programs that we'll be looking at. Going into the spring, we'll continue with career and technical education and middle school transition activities. Over the summer, there'll be a focus on staff development and partner engagement, professional learning for the new academic pathways to confirm roles for partners. In the fall for 2026, we'll do family orientation and programming launch, where we'll do family engagement, come back and get some feedback from students and families about how this build out of initial programming happens so that we are ready for a full implementation with the freshman class in 2027. Again, there'll be more details about this at the Teaching, Learning, and Enrollment Committee on Thursday, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this during the work session as well. So with that, I just want to say, this is where we are with the timeline. We're at a point where we're in a board listening session. I'm going to stop so we can listen to you. I'm just very excited to have everybody in the house for us to hear from you. And then there's a Teaching Learning Committee on Thursday. There'll be a board work session next Tuesday, and working our way towards a vote on January 13th. Tentatively scheduled at this point. I just want to thank everybody for your engagement. It is great and heartwarming to see so many people in the house, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Calvert. Or I think people around here like to call her Dr. MC. Next, we are starting our public comment segment. Just a couple things before we begin. First, the board would like to thank you all for taking your time out of your day to attend this meeting and providing your comments. We do have a very long list of public commenters today, over 2 hours worth, so hopefully you brought your popcorn. How this is going to work, we'll be calling people up in groups of 5. If you notice right behind this podium right here, which is where people will be giving their comment, there are 6 chairs that are labeled as reserves. You may sit there. That's for you, for public commenters who have been called up. When your name is called, please come forward. Go ahead, be comfortable unless you're the first one. Make it your way up to the podium. When you begin your comment, please clearly state your name and your school community that you come from. Because of the really long list of people who signed up for public comment today, we are limiting public comment to 2 minutes, and it'll be a hard stop at 2 minutes. So when you're up at the podium, there'll be 3 lights. When the green means go.
Really?
Yes. And yellow, in this case, doesn't mean slow down or try to stop. It means you have 30 seconds left, and when the red hits, it's a hard cutoff, 2 minutes. This is so that we can get everyone who signed up a chance to speak tonight before it gets too late and our brains go dead. All right, so let's get started. Would you like, could you call up the first 5?
Yes. Sophia Lively, Grove Toulson, Lily Fogarty, Jessica Moss, and Laura Westwood. And any of you can start whenever, whoever wants to go first.
My name is Grove Tolson. I go to Vernon, and I think every student deserves a comprehensive high school experience. A comprehensive high school offers a wide range of electives, AP classes, a well-resourced sports program, and many after-school clubs, and an overall amazing high school experience. However, to be a comprehensive high school, Jefferson needs 1,100 students, and it currently only has 459. I and many other students at Vernon and Fabian want Jefferson to be comprehensive as soon as possible so we can have this experience. For me personally, a well-resourced sports program, especially soccer, would be greatly appreciated. Jefferson currently has a JV2 team, and I want to play varsity soccer in high school. Scenario C causes Tubman Middle School to split up into two groups along racial and economic lines, breaking up friendships and stopping them from starting between students that went to Sabin, Boise Elliott, or MLK, and students that went to Irvington. The neighborhood a student lives in shouldn't determine whether they have access to a comprehensive high school or not. For all these reasons, I support Scenario B. Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much for all your effort on this work. My name is Jessica Moss. My family lives in this funny pocket of Portland. Rigler is half a mile away. Beaumont Middle is just 7 blocks. But my 5th and 6th graders are assigned to Vernon. To get there, Margot and Cooper travel 30 minutes on foot and by bus, and we call it character building. Some group of people at some point in time made what seems like an arbitrary decision to send our street to Vernon. I presume it served the best interest of the community. For so many reasons, in today's debate, the location argument is problematic, and making it the central rationale for Scenario C has the appearance of elevating real estate privilege over equity. The superintendent's decision is disappointing. Scenario B is the clear choice. Scenario B offers the strongest feeder pattern to Jeff. It does not divide Tubman along racial and economic lines. And it gives this community confidence the district will do what it takes to ensure that Jefferson is truly rising. Not because today's Jeff students need us, but because on the path to a modernized Jeff, the first cohort and all future cohorts need access to comprehensive programming, the same access as their peers. So let me be clear on what that means. If McDaniel or Grant has textiles, product design, or podcasting classes, our students deserve equivalent options. If McDaniel or Grant have 3 coaches for varsity soccer and 3 days of practice a week, our students deserve the equivalent. If McDaniel or Grant have AP offerings in computer science, African American studies, or calculus, our students deserve credentialed educators teaching equivalent dedicated classes, not hybrid versions. We all know funding follows students. In a school with only 700 students, can you offer an experienced French instructor to a classroom of 10? Low registration is not a lack of interest, it's a lack of enrollment. Equal programming and breadth and depth should be one of, if not the defining metric of equity. Only Scenario B comes close to leveling the playing field. To offer anything less is to continue a troublesome path.
You need to stop. Sorry, we have a lot of people. I really appreciate your comments. Thank you. Next up.
Hello, my name is Sophia Lively, and I currently go to Da Vinci Arts Middle School. I don't think that going to Jefferson would be the best idea. I think that every single PPS student should be able to have an enjoyable high school experience. I believe that Jefferson will be a great school one day, but throwing a bunch of people into one school at a time after a long thing of COVID is not the best idea in the world. It'll split up friendships, it'll split up small communities, and I don't think it would be the best idea. I think maybe later on, would be a better idea to make Jefferson a better place. But I also think that every student should have the right to choose what high school they have to go to for their needs. Example, if a student needs calculus, they should probably go to Grant because Grant has an excellent calculus class. Jefferson isn't there yet, but it will be there one day. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lily Fogarty, and I'm a middle schooler at Vernon. I've always wanted to go to Jefferson. It's been my dream high school since I was in kindergarten. There are lots of reasons why I want to go to Jefferson, but the main one is the programs, including dance, basketball, and theater. Last year, my friends and I were talking about high school, and they all said they wanted to go to McDaniel. I was so sad, and I was starting to have second thoughts about going to Jefferson. After this switch, all of my close friends are going to Jefferson, which I was really happy about because I get to stick with all of my friends. Jefferson has been my dream school for so long, and the fact that I get to go on this journey of high school with my best friends is what makes it a dream. I hope the school board keeps this dream alive for other middle schoolers who don't get to go to high school with all their best friends.
Good evening. My name is Laura Westwood, an Irvington parent, Grant alumna, and lifelong Northeast Portland resident. Scenario C is the most balanced of the three proposals, but even it leaves problems unresolved. Maintaining Sabin and Irvington with Grant, Scenario F, is not just reasonable, it is the most responsible and sustainable option. First, the data used to rule out Scenario F is not reliable. PPS dismissed it because they projected Jeff at 1,054 students in 2030, just below the 1,100 target. But using PPS's own formulas correctly, the projection should be 1,087, a gap of only 13 students. And that number shifts dramatically depending on capture rates. Grant is modeled with an unusually high 93.6% rate, inflating its numbers, while Jeff is assigned a much lower rate. Our independent community modeling shows Jeff at 1,195 by 2030. Anchoring decades of boundary decisions to inconsistent methods is not sound planning. Second, Sabin and Irvington are essential to Grant's long-term stability. These neighborhoods have never been part of Jefferson's historic boundary and anchor Grant's enrollment. With Grant projected to decline due to demographic shifts, removing them would further destabilize the school when reliable enrollment is most needed. Third, the diversity impacts matter. Removing Sabin reduces Black, Native, and Latino enrollment at Grant without increasing it at Jefferson, meaning both schools lose ground on equity. Finally, disruption carries real costs. Is a temporary 13-student difference worth dismantling a century-old pathway and fracturing a long-standing community? Scenario F meets district targets, honors community history, protects diversity, and supports long-term stability. I urge the board to question the data and choose the option that strengthens our schools rather than destabilizing them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can you call up the next five?
Josh Moss, Kristen Jesse Unick, nope, sorry. I lost my spot. Michelle Dewberry, Lane Flynn, and Jason Greenblatt.
Hello, my name is Josh Moss. I have a son and daughter at Vernon, 5th and 6th grade. I think I want to focus my comments on the 10%. So scenario C is about 10% over the threshold of 1,100. And I think what we've been living in Vernon is something, when you're too close to a line, when funding follows students, there is a huge chance to lose it. Recently, Vernon lost its IB status because we fell below a certain line that was dictated, okay? Our middle school program right now is underfunded, and our daughter, who's in middle school, has a single teacher teaching three courses, even though that's not their core competency. So they're losing out on a middle school program. And I think our fear, in general, for scenario C, is that puts us in the same boat, right? When you're within 10% and you fall below that line, then all of a sudden we don't get the extracurricular activities. We don't get the sports programming. We don't get the non-core academics that we all want, that Grant has, that McDaniel has. And so when we talk about this, it really feels like there's only two choices for the board. One is amend scenario C so these are guaranteed for scenario C. All these programs that are equivalent to Grant, equivalent to McDaniel, or you have to go back to the drawing board and reject it to give us a guarantee to have that equitable experience for all of our kids. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Jessie Uyanuk, and I'm a mother of an 8th grader at Tubman and 2 4th graders at Sabin. The past few months have been really tense, with a lot of uncertainty and strong emotions, not just in the Sabin community, but across Northeast Portland. These proposals have sparked really tough conversations and friction between neighbors and friends. My family is at our own version of this uncertainty. Our 8th grader, Lola, is among the last class eligible for dual enrollment, and the decision of which high school she'll attend has been really difficult. She weighed the strengths and drawbacks of 2 schools, and she has decided to attend Jefferson next year. But reclaiming my time. But it's not easy. Most of her classmates are opting for Grant, while it still remains a choice. Keeping Tubman students together is a big reason why I support scenario B. While I understand the importance of proximity, I truly believe in the community that we have built at Tubman together. I also believe that scenario B sets Jefferson up for timely growth and stronger programs, both of which are long overdue at this school. As someone with privilege and a strong supporter of public schools, I feel a responsibility to advocate for a system that works for all families, not just those whose experiences are familiar to me. That said, I respect Dr. Armstrong's recommendation of scenario C because I trust our leaders are acting with good intentions even when I don't agree with every decision. I hear the fear and discomfort from many of my neighbors. Change is hard and these feelings are natural, but I'm also troubled by the level of anger and distrust directed at PPS leadership. I don't think it serves our kids, our schools, or our community. We can disagree, but we owe it to each other and to our children to approach this moment with openness, grace, and a willingness to move forward together. If we support each other and hold our district accountable, compassion, and high expectations, we can build a stronger Jefferson and a better Northeast Portland. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Eileen, Mama at Sabin and Tubman. I want to start clearly. Jefferson students deserve a plan that finally gives them stability and support. They've waited far too long for that, and I believe that deeply, and I respect that. Alongside that, I would like to respectfully acknowledge what this recommendation asks of Sabin, a uniquely heavy burden as the only elementary school being permanently reassigned and asked to absorb a true historical boundary change. It's happening after more than a decade of district-driven disruptions. Sabin was removed from Beaumont, converted to K-8, converted back to K-5, access, placed and removed, and multiple pathway changes. No other school in this cluster has absorbed this volume of change. Now I recognize Sabin is not a monolith. There are wonderful Sabin families here that hold different views. But more than 200 Sabin supporting families have raised the same concerns in a letter sent to all of you. Most notably, unsafe and unrealistic travel routes and glaring absence of Sabin's feedback in the engagement process. Even PPS's own engagement summary recommended deeper analysis of Sabin's safety concerns and a revisit of its alignment, yet the final recommendation is unchanged from the earliest drafts. On a personal level, my Sabin family lives within 1 mile from Grant, a walkable, neighborhood-aligned route under PPS's own criteria. Under this plan, my children would instead travel 2.4 miles across the MLK Prescott high injury corridor. Once a district knowingly assigns children to a longer, more dangerous commute when a safer, geographically aligned option exists 1 mile from their home, that decision stops being logistical. It borders ethically indefensible and deeply irresponsible. It's how it feels. Tonight, I'm asking you to consider a revised recommendation that reflects real geography, real safety commutes, and real community input. Jefferson deserves to win without a doubt. Jefferson deserves a strong plan, and all of our children deserve a plan built for the lives they actually live. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jason Greenblatt. I have a first and fourth grader at Sabin and a seventh grader at Harriet Tubman, who will be part of the first class integrated into Jefferson under the current recommendation of Scenario C. I want to start by saying I support the investment for a strong Jefferson High School for the existing and future students. The modernization is essential, and every student in North Portland deserves excellent facilities, comprehensive programming, and a nurturing community that creates a sense of belonging. I believe we can still strengthen Jefferson and reach its enrollment goals without unnecessarily disrupting the established Irvington and Sabin community, where our kids already have a strong sense of belonging. Historically, Sabin and Irvington students have moved through school together. Under Scenario C, that community gets split for the first time. Irvington students continue to Grant, Sabin go to Jefferson. Our kids will be leaving their neighborhood peer groups at a moment when those relationships matter the most. In this plan, Sabin is the only neighborhood being separated from both its historic pathway and its peer community. Every other school maintains their established pathway and community connections, so why is Sabin the exception? Grant is just 1 mile away from us, a safe walk, 10-minute bike ride. Under Scenario C, our kids would face a 45-minute commute, 2 public buses each way to reach Jefferson. The ability to have our children attend a high school in our neighborhood where they can walk or bike with friends, where school feels like an extension of our local community, that matters to us. I'm asking you to consider whether there's a path forward that still strengthens Jefferson while keeping our historic Irvington, Sabin community pathway intact. Thank you for your consideration and what this decision means to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we call up the next 5?
Haley Hatfield, Bina Patel, Mike Westling, Todd Johnson.
I'm Haley Hatfield. I'm a lifelong Northeast Portlander. I attended Sabin and Irvington, Beaumont Middle, and Grant, class of '03. In a recent meeting of the TLE committee, the assistant superintendent noted that Jefferson is more than a building. It is people. I could not agree more, but I would add respectfully that so is Grant High School. It is people like my grandmother, Sharon Hatfield, a teen mother herself, who found meaning and purpose working at Grant as an EA and track coach. I remember when she was in hospice, how she showed me a letter from a former student, how much her care had meant to him. I'm proud of that. It's people like my friend Sam Varanison, who, despite being bound to a wheelchair with cerebral palsy, became a legendary member of the Grant wrestling team and later a coach. We tragically lost Sam this year, too soon, but his memory lives on in the halls that he once rolled. Grant is people like me who grew up in that school even before we attended it, participating in Bruce McDonald's community plays, learning to swim at the pool, running on the track, watching my sisters and cousins' performances in sports games. It's people like my kids and their many friends who are the children of alumni, second, third, and even fourth generation generals who have been raised in this community and are so excited to continue the tradition. These multi-generational friendships are not a culture and a context that we can replicate elsewhere. I know so many families where the grandparents, the parents, and the kids are all friends, even best friends. The ability to send our kids to Grant is a huge part of maintaining that community and a connection to those that we have lost and who were a part of it. Sabin and Irvington kids are a part of Grant just as important as Alameda and Laurelhurst kids. It's not okay to cut them out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beena Patel, a Sabin parent, and my kid's a 7th grader at Tubman and a 4th grader at Sabin. Have you ever walked into a room and scanned whether anyone else looks like you, has melanin in their skin? I moved to Sabin so my children wouldn't feel like the only brown kids in a sea of white. This proposal changes that. Pulling Sabin out of Grant significantly reduces diversity at both Grant and Jefferson. Grant would become the whitest high school in Portland, while at Jeff, the number of Black and Native students will plummet from 1 in 2 students to 1 in 5 students, dismantling a long-standing Black school. If you've listened to nice white parents, you know how quickly good intentions can disenfranchise Black and brown communities. Portland is about to recreate that story. And let's be clear, Sabin is the only school being redistricted away from its historic neighborhood feeder pattern. No other community is asked to give up its generational high school connection, only Sabin. That alone should give us pause about equity and fairness. We chose Grant for real reasons: community, safety, and the ability for our kids to walk and bike with lifelong friends. Rerouting Sabin kids forces them to cross MLK and Prescott, roads with recent multiple fatalities. Equity cannot mean telling one group of kids that their safety, their community, and sense of belonging are expendable. This isn't about racism or privilege. It's about love, dignity, and basic safety. True equity lifts kids up. It doesn't weaken one community to strengthen another. Sabin kids deserve to stay in their neighborhood high school just as Jeff kids deserve to stay in theirs. I speak as a physician who works in equity every day. We are facing epidemics of childhood obesity, depression, and anxiety. One of the simplest protective factors is allowing kids to stay grounded in their communities, walking, biking, and moving through neighborhoods with peers who know and support them. Let's do right by both communities, honor compact boundaries, honor safe transportation, honor the relationships that help adolescents thrive. Do not make Sabin the only community asked to sacrifice what every other neighborhood keeps. Our children deserve better, and they're watching.
My name is Todd. I have an 8th grader and a 6th grader at Fabian. I came here planning to say that Jefferson has to have a comprehensive program, but despite the fact that there's adults in here saying that some students shouldn't have AP classes so their kid doesn't have to walk across MLK, I think you guys all get that. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that and just highlight one more thing that I haven't heard talked about, except maybe briefly in one other person's thing. Schools like Fabian, so my student is an 8th grader at Fabian. His first year at Fabian was the first year of the new Fabian as a kindergartner. His class was enormous. They had the highest enrollment for a single class I think Fabian's ever seen. It's dropped off steadily every year since then because people, they're excited about the new building and they liked the Concordia program, but they quickly reverted to the sort of feelings people have about the Northeast neighborhood schools, especially Fabian and Jefferson and Vernon and Rigler. So I worry under scenario C specifically that even though Jefferson is just over the limit for comprehensive education, that you may not be counting a low enough capture rate for Jefferson specifically. So I think B looks good, C looks good. Honestly, if your numbers are accurate, I'm happy with C. But I think you should definitely make sure you're considering that people are going to opt out of Jefferson at a much higher rate than other schools. We see that in the elementary and middle schools. It's just a fact. Thank you.
First, just want to thank you for having this at Jefferson tonight. It's really great to be in the auditorium with y'all. My name is Mike Westling. I'm the parent of a 3rd and a 5th grader at Fabian, and my family could not be happier to be assigned to Jefferson for high school. To put Jefferson in the best possible position to serve students through this transition for the next 50 years and longer, I strongly encourage you to adopt Scenario B. Scenario C would leave Jefferson with fewer students than Grant, which means less overall state funding and fewer family resources, which we know do matter to support athletics and other extracurriculars. No matter where the boundary lands, it's vital that you commit now through an amendment to this boundary decision to ensuring that Jefferson students have access to the same class offerings, programs, and extracurriculars as their peers at other high schools starting on day one. As we make these important decisions, we should be considering the needs of community in the broadest sense. We live in challenging times, and our sense of community has been fractured by technology, a pandemic, and failed federal leadership, by media that tells us we're bad parents if we don't do everything possible to make sure our kids have a leg up over everyone else, by a culture that tells us they're going to be left behind. I know the natural response is to go into our bubbles, where it's comfortable and familiar, where things don't change, where reality meets our expectations, where we have control, but that's not what our kids really need. What our kids need right now is a community that embraces them and gives them the opportunities they deserve. And they deserve a comprehensive high school that offers the academics and extracurriculars at the same level as their peers across the district. And the best way to do that is for all of us to go to Jefferson together. I have a little bit of time, I was fast. I want to tell you one quick story. My mother-in-law, Donna, went to Fabian in the I don't want to age her too much, 50s. And then at that point, she was district boundary for Grant. A couple years later, they moved the lines. Turns out some of these boundaries haven't been there for 100 years. Those boundaries changed to Adams. Adams has an interesting history. You should look it up. And then now that address is boundaried for McDaniel. So lines change. Thank you.
Our next set of people are attending virtually. We have Sarah Schultz, Michelle Dewberry, Stephanie McBride, Mishka Willis, Abdul Rahimi, and Michael Lairdy. And whoever's ready can go first.
Ms. Bradshaw, maybe could you just call who go first? Just make the call.
How about Abdul? You have your hand up. Oop, we can't hear you. Abdul?
We can't hear you for what it's worth. I'm not sure if you can hear us, that we can't hear you, Abdul. Yeah, it's coming up on closed captions, but we can't hear you actually, so I don't know what that's about. We think it's on our end, so hang on.
Abdul, can you please try again?
Hello, my name's Abdul Rahimi. I go by the He series. And good evening, and thank you for your work for our students in our city. I'm asking that dual assignment remain in place until Jefferson is a school families choose because they believe in it. I want Jefferson to become a thriving neighborhood high school, but we must build that foundation first. Many of us supported modernization because we wanted Jefferson to succeed. We did not expect that it would mean sunsetting dual assignment before trust is rebuilt. Families want a school that is safe and academically strong. New buildings will help, but parents choose schools for safety and learning first. A modern campus alone does not rebuild confidence. Modernization is great for students, gives them a healthier learning environment, but it is not what makes families choose a school. They choose based on safety, trust, and strong academics. Jefferson has about 400 to 500 students today. A comprehensive program needs more enrollment, but families do not stay when they feel forced or unsure about safety or academics. They stay when they see growth and believe their children will thrive. Enrollment follows trust, trust follows results. It is a chicken and egg problem. Enrollment drives programming, but trust and academic gains drive enrollment. The path forward is to strengthen the school first, then let enrollment grow through confidence. We have seen what happens when boundaries move faster than trust. In the 80s, several schools and programs were closed or consolidated, and boundaries shifted. Jefferson's enrollment went up for a time, but academics and safety did not improve enough and families left. Growth without trust does not last, and I agree Jefferson needs more students, but families enroll when they feel safe and see academic progress. If we move too fast, we risk losing families entirely. We cannot assume families will attend by default. If confidence is low, they will opt out. History proves this. Safety and academics still need work. In 2022, 2 students were shot outside the school. They survived, but parents remember events like this. Only 1 in 5 students meet math expectations, and about 40% meet English benchmarks based on Oregon State assessment scores. Families want to see progress. Modernization lays groundwork for improvements, but campus will take years to finish, and trust and academics must grow before families enroll. Sunsetting dual assignment now asks families to trust what they cannot yet see. Sunsetting dual assignment does not build trust. Trust must come first. When trust grows, enrollment grows on its own. Thank you.
Sarah Schultz.
Hi, I'm a PPS parent with twins at Vernon in 4th grade, Keith and Lauren. We previously attended Sabin, so we kind of know people at both schools. We live in a spot that's not really close to any elementary school, and although we're actually very close to Grant, it's right down the hill from us, our boundaries don't reflect that. So when I hear that the priority is placing students close to schools they attend, I struggle with that because the boundaries don't always put us at our closest schools. And when people say historically this neighborhood has always gone to this certain school, I also want to say historically women were doctors and we segregated people by race. History isn't a reason to continue inequity. We all see that Grant's feeder pattern concentrates wealth, and while some say that families simply chose to live there, the truth is that many families, including mine, simply couldn't afford that choice. These neighborhoods weren't accessible to everyone. Portland claims to value equity and inclusion, but when it comes to taking action, even when kids of color, kids with disabilities, families facing hardship are impacted, too often we don't follow through. We keep things separate. We preserve advantages for some at the expense of others. So when I look at Jefferson, I want to ask whether we are making the best decision for all students. And if we redirect students there, how do we reach the enrollment needed to offer full comprehensive programming? By PPS's own criteria, Jefferson reaches those numbers best under Plan B, and keeping Tubman students together as they move to Jefferson seems like a logical stabilizing choice. Also, Boise Elliott was a Grant feeder, and nobody's mentioning that, but they previously were. So Sabin's not the only school that's been moved. I guess what also saddens me is the narrative that Jefferson's not good enough for kids who expected to attend Grant. The message is painful and it's familiar. It reinforces the idea that some students
Thank you. I think that's time. Can you finish up?
Okay. Is that? Oh, okay. Because that's what we've always had. So years ago, I heard an African-American principal explain her priorities. She said she put her resources towards marginalized and disabled students.
All right.
And when
Thank
someone
you.
asks
Thank you. Sorry, we have to move on. Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Michelle Dewberry.
Hi, good evening. I'm the mom of 2 7th graders at Ockley Green Middle School. And I want to express my support for scenario B. For years, dual assignment has siphoned resources and students away from Jefferson. And we have an amazing opportunity to make real amends. I am so grateful to PPS leaders and the board for taking this on, and I am excited for my kids to be part of the transformation. One of the most surprising things about listening to the public debate about this is the number of times I have heard people talk about real estate, people who bought their houses with an expectation that their kids would attend a certain high school. So no one's home comes with a guarantee that school boundaries will remain fixed. School districts need to be able to respond to demographic shifts. When I bought my house in 2011, I did not have an expectation that nothing in my neighborhood would ever change. Public education is one of the best ways we have to combat inequality, and even better, we know that schools with socioeconomic diversity are better for all of our kids, both in terms of academic and socioeconomic or socio-emotional outcomes. To the parents who are concerned about safe transportation for your kids, I totally get that. I am the mom of a child who was killed in traffic violence in 2010. I would invite you to join organizations like Families for Safe Streets. Join us in this important work of making Portland safe for all children, no matter where they go to school. I don't think this is the place for that conversation. I am excited about the possibility of a comprehensive high school in our neighborhood. I am worried that it will not work if we allow carve-outs for certain privileged families. Please do not let the loudest voices in the Irvington and Sabin catchment undermine this effort. Thank you for all you do for PPS students.
Mishka Willis.
Hi, everyone. What's that? Okay. Good evening. My name is Mishka Willis, and I very much wanted to attend tonight, but I'm just not able to. I'm disabled and a solo parent to 3 children, one of which is attending Grant, and the other 2 younger ones are hoping to follow in their sister's footsteps. I'm autistic and neurodivergent, and I rely on clear data when evaluating complex decisions. I'm also a parent coach grounded in relational neuroscience, supporting families through stress and change. I'm mostly speaking on numbers tonight, and speaking because Sabin is the only neighborhood school being asked to change its longstanding high school assignment, and the district's own data shows that this change is not necessary. Families in Sabin also have varied circumstances. Many of us, including my own family, are navigating disability, financial strain, and limited capacity. Some of us, like myself, are fighting foreclosure. These changes don't impact all families equally. According to the projections PPS posted, when Irving and Sabin feed to Grant, both Jefferson and Grant would exceed 1,100 students, meeting the district's target for a viable comprehensive high school. But by modeling Jefferson with only the 70% capture rate and using a 93.6% capture rate for Grant, the numbers are being manipulated. Sorry, one second. Scenario C assigns 8 different elementary schools to Jefferson and only 4 to Grant, moving far more students than are needed. Your own modeling shows that Jefferson does not need Sabin to reach viability. Also, from a relational neuroscience perspective, unnecessary transitions carry real costs for children. After the profound disruption of the pandemic, stability and continuity support emotional regulation, learning, and well-being. When the data shows the goals can be met without uprooting Sabin, preserving stability is the healthier choice. Practically speaking, my children must get themselves to school, often with each other's help. Grant is accessible through safe neighborhood bikeways that they already use. My oldest and my middle will be needing to take my youngest to school, to Sabin. So my request is simple. Choose the option that meets district goals with the least disruption. Your own projections show that Jefferson thrives without Sabin and Grant remaining strong. Please keep Sabin assigned to Grant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Stephanie McBride.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm a grandparent, and I really think that kids, I like the clause where you have children who live within a mile of a high school allowed to go there. I think one of the things that makes Portland special is that we advertise neighborhood schools. And I've heard a lot of people advocating for that on this meeting tonight. I think that's paramount to who we are. And there are also people who, need to stay in that community within a mile of the school. So I like option C, but my main concern is kids going to school close to their homes. Thank you.
Okay, we'll come back to in-person. Liz Thorne, Amy Faber, Paul Ferro, Sarah Dillon, and Bren Simons.
Good evening. My name is Liz Thorne, and I am the parent of a current 7th grader at Da Vinci Arts Middle School and a 4th grader, and we live in the Fabian community and are proud future demos. I want to strongly advocate for scenario B. This scenario gives Jefferson the strongest enrollment numbers, keeps Tubman students together, and enhances socioeconomic diversity at Jefferson, a key factor that decades of research has shown to promote upward mobility, stronger academic outcomes, and healthier communities for all students. Scenario C appears to prioritize physical proximity to high school, but let's be clear on whose proximity is being prioritized. Where I live, and most of Fabian catchment, is more than 1.5 or 2 miles away from any high school. So how can physical proximity be held up as a deciding factor in this decision, seemingly in contrast to other stated KPIs, like keeping middle schools together? However, I would be in support of the board approving scenario C if it was accompanied by a written amendment that requires a clear implementation plan with associated funding and resources for academic programming set to begin in fall of 2027. We know that building AP programs, additional electives, and all of the components to make a comprehensive high school experience is not a light switch you can just turn on. It takes time. And it cannot wait to happen when students arrive in 2027. We need a clear commitment that parity in academics will happen, not in words, but in action. How can the district front-load investment and resources into Jefferson now, during this critical building stage of programming? Can staff be hired next year in anticipation of student enrollment increasing in 2027? And let's be clear, we are not adding to the total number of students in the district. It will result in staffing shifts at other Northeast high schools. I urge district building and building leaders to intentionally recruit staff to Jeff who are just as excited and invested in continuing the strong legacy of Jefferson that we are. Our family is ready and eager to put our heart and effort into building the next great chapter in Jefferson's legacy. But we need you, the board and PPS leaders, to meet us. Invest in Jefferson now and guarantee parity in programming for our students. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy Faber, and I'm the parent of a 7th grader at Ockley Green and a 4th grader at Woodlawn. My family is so happy and appreciative that the school board has finally decided to make the difficult decisions necessary to end the Jefferson dual enrollment zone and to ensure that Jefferson is a comprehensive neighborhood high school again. In my community, I hear widespread support for ending dual enrollment. I also hear a lot of questions and concerns about the timing of the change, what the programming will look like at Jefferson, and whether PPS can guarantee that our students will have the same options available to them at Jefferson as they would at other high schools. In order to ensure robust programming at Jefferson, I urge the board to adopt scenario B. This is the only option that makes sense if you're going to end dual enrollment before construction is complete. Inevitably, there will be some families that choose to leave PPS because of this decision. We will not be one of them, but others may. And I fear that the projected numbers for enrollment in the years before construction is complete, when my daughter will be starting at Jefferson, are optimistic and will not be sufficient to ensure the diverse array of electives and extracurricular activities that our current 6th and 7th graders deserve. Relying on the PCC partnership is not sufficient. It's not a comprehensive high school experience if students have to leave campus to get the full array of programming. Carving out entire elementary schools from this Jefferson catchment will only make this challenge harder. I understand that the Jefferson community is strong today and will get stronger with these changes, and I'm excited about that. Option B gives the highest opportunity for success. But whatever you choose, the board needs to make a commitment to today's 7th and 6th graders that they will not have less than they would have had at another high school. If the board is comfortable asking families that currently have the option to attend Roosevelt or McDaniel, schools that have vibrant communities and robust programming, to attend Jefferson instead, then you must make the same ask of families currently attending Grant. Their situation is no different. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Dillon. Thank you for your work and commitment to rebuild Jefferson, ensuring the school's future as a comprehensive neighborhood school. I support scenario B because I'm worried that scenario C places Jefferson too close to the 1100 bubble. I'm the parent of 2 kids at Fabian, a 4th grader and a 6th grader, and my oldest daughter started middle school sports this year and is excited to be part of the Jefferson community. As you know, at Fabian, we were previously looking at a choice between a 2-mile commute to Jeff or a 5-mile commute to McDaniel. Either would have been okay, but I prefer a neighborhood school. I do wonder that some parents' lack of enthusiasm for Jefferson is driven by the same fears that got us here in the first place. I also wonder that some parents possibly didn't grow up in Portland or aren't familiar with Jefferson's historic legacy. I grew up in Southwest Portland in the 90s, and I remember Jefferson as a school with an amazing reputation, incredible performing arts, incredible sports, culture, and school spirit. We must hold community goals above individual family preference and ensure that Jefferson has a student population to support robust, comprehensive programming. As the parent of a 6th grader, I hope that Jefferson has the enrollment to support comprehensive programming right away. And it wouldn't be fair to Jeffo kids, especially the 6th and 7th graders, if Jefferson did not have access to the same classes as their PPS peers again. I urge you to please ensure that Jeffos have a comprehensive high school experience from day one. Otherwise, we'll be extending the legacy of disinvestment from the Jefferson community, and that is unacceptable. The Jefferson community is already strong and will only get stronger. It has a reputation as one of the region's best high schools, and we need to remind people of this. Thank you so much for sharing your time and energy with the kids across the district.
Do I wait for it to turn green? Oh, all right, cool. Hi, my name is Ren Simmons. As the parent of a 6th and 2nd grader at Vernon K-8, I personally was discouraged to see the recommendation for scenario C. The rationale that was shared behind that metric was one of proximity, and that 1-mile radius felt newly and perhaps arbitrarily defined to me. Nearly every student that goes to Vernon and Fabian today will travel more than a mile to get to Jefferson, and every single one of them will cross MLK to get there. The scenario C recommendation runs counter to another KPI, one of keeping middle school cohorts together. And this has clearly been defined at 100% since the beginning. Scenario C divides the Harriet Tubman student body, and not only does it divide them, it divides them along stark racial and wealth lines, and sending only the wealthiest and whitest students to Grant further entrenches racial and economic segregation in Northeast Portland. We are living a reality of declining enrollment in PPS, and we at Vernon are experiencing this acutely today. Scenario C leaves Jefferson much more vulnerable to enrollment fluctuations and potentially not sustaining the 1,100 student threshold long-term that PPS has set for comprehensive programming. So I urge a vote against the Scenario C recommendation, and Scenario B is the only option that aligns with PPS's stated equity goals and fully supports Jefferson in continuing to be a cultural cornerstone of Northeast Portland. I urge you to also amend whatever final scenario is adopted to include language that it guarantees parity of athletic, academic, and extracurricular programming from day one. I ask that you hold PPS accountable to true parity and not just check boxes on paper or hybrid models. For many students in Northeast Portland today, including my children at Vernon, they already have a less than experience for elementary and middle school, including the loss of our IB programming, and thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Carmen Thompson, Bethany Gumper, Sean Fogarty, Eloise Kohler, and Aaron Brazil.
Hi, my name is Bethany Gumper. I'm the parent of a second grader and a fourth grader at Vernon K-8. I have closely followed the debate over Jefferson boundaries, and I'm here in favor of Scenario B, very excited to join the Jefferson family. With the plan to transition Jefferson to a neighborhood high school, I have some serious concerns after hearing Superintendent Armstrong's recommendation for Scenario C. Jefferson's modernization seems like PPS's chance to do right by the Jefferson community, but Jefferson can only thrive if it has the enrollment to support full programming for a comprehensive high school from day one: electives, arts, and athletics. As we've discussed tonight, PPS has stated that a minimum enrollment of 1,100 students is necessary to sustain these offerings. Scenario B offers the most viable path toward robust enrollment. Scenario C continues a long-standing pattern of concentrating students and wealth at Grant, which already has the advantage of enrollment and stature as a comprehensive high school. I personally am struggling with the school district peeling off the wealthiest, whitest kids and sending them to Grant, while sending the rest of them to an underprogrammed school. Jefferson has an inherent enrollment disadvantage compounded by construction and historical disinvestment. Without a strong feeder pattern to Jefferson, the school will not have the population to fund the programs its students deserve. As a Vernon parent, my kids have an elementary experience that lacks developmentally appropriate programming, limited or no access to language, middle school athletics, choir, band, and orchestra, and comprehensive electives. We should ensure that all students have a high school experience, that it is not another point of loss or inequity. If PPS is serious about equity and excellence, Scenario B is the best option. And if the superintendent's recommendation of Scenario C moves forward, I urge you to amend for comprehensive programming from day one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name, ready to go? It's still showing red, so. Okay, hello, my name is Dr. Carmen Thompson. I'm here, a former Jefferson High School student, and yes. My goal is to talk about the historical aspect of this conversation. There's a lot of racial overtones to what is being said here in the room, and race is how we got here in the first place, particularly how it is that the Black community has been in the crosshairs of the school district historically, and Jefferson has been the brunt of that history. beginning back when they did the reconstitution, all those of the school those many years ago, sending many of the top teachers out of Jefferson. And many in the Black community have felt that there has always been this agenda within Portland Public Schools to be able to take away resources from Jefferson. It's always had a vibrant community, a vibrant alumni, and so often decisions that have been made by the district, including this dual enrollment system, are things that have appeared intentionally to take enrollment away from Jefferson so that Jefferson can either be given to PCC or closed in some kind of way. It's been impacted severely by gentrification. And so many decisions that have happened outside of Jefferson's control has been done against them from the school board. And so I personally am for whatever scenario that tilts that advantage back towards Jefferson and captures most of the students, even over captures some, to account for undoing some of the work that historically has been done to give Jefferson a bad reputation. So I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt, and they deserve to have more representation than maybe what some of these numbers have said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eloise Curler, an Irvington and Tubman mom. Last time I spoke, I asked you to listen to Jefferson families to hear what they needed to feel safe, supported, and seen. Since then, Dr. Armstrong, you recommended scenario C, and I wonder if you weighed the enrollment Jefferson deserves under scenario B against the way Irvington's advocacy reflected racial bias, class privilege, and longstanding patterns of exclusion in this district. So I understand why you might be supporting scenario C. I heard parents say Jefferson is not good enough for my child. I wish people had said, I don't know that much about Jeff, let me show up and learn more. I heard parents sign a petition that echoed the long and painful history of white flight. I wish I had heard families acknowledge that talking about Jefferson means talking about a majority Black community with a documented history of systemic disinvestment. And I want to be accountable myself. I did not always interrupt these narratives. I am complicit in this culture, and I have work to do. Also, the movement against Jefferson often said, if you don't agree with me, I don't want to talk to you. It encouraged distrust of each other and created exclusive groups that became echo chambers. This is not how community works. And let me be clear, advocating for Grant was not the problem. The harm came when the advocacy centered fear and exclusion toward Jefferson instead of clarity about what some families wanted. With whatever scenario the board chooses, PPS has a responsibility to ensure a well-resourced transition for Jefferson. So I'll steal the wording of amending B or C with more money. To my own community, I hope we do not gaslight ourselves into believing we did not cause harm. We did. Many voices from our community are missing. Notice this.
Thank you.
I'm going to make this a little taller, sorry. There we go. Good evening. My name is Sean. I'm the parent of a 6th and a 4th grader at Vernon, and I've lived in the Vernon area for over 20 years. Most of that time I've served as a firefighter and later a lieutenant at Fire Station 24, which protects Jefferson and the students and staff here. The station members proudly wear a Demos logo on the back of our uniform hats. We are in this school to serve when fire, injury, and illness strike. And on duty, I've attended countless games, health and career fairs, and other events at the school. I actually fondly recall bragging to then Principal Margaret Calvert while we attended a football game that my daughter was born and I had a future demo. I've seen behind the scenes how this school is the heart and soul of this area and this community, and I've watched with admiration and awe as the community rose up to prevent the school's closure not too long ago. I'm here tonight, though, to talk about my 12-year-old daughter. She's the one who took her first steps on the bay floor of Fire Station 24 while I was on duty serving this school. She's the one who decided at 5 years old that she wanted to be a Jefferson dancer, and she's the one who held strong that she still wanted to go to Jeff, even as dual assignment would likely pull many of her friends to McDaniel. She's also the one that was brave enough to tell her own story tonight. Nice work, Lo. Much of my adult life has been dedicated to this community, and I've chosen to locate my family here, along with my wife. Literally all of my daughter's life has been proudly rooted here. Though she's not enrolled yet, she's a demo to her core and in her heart, and I couldn't be more proud. She and so many other students and family are counting on this board to get the transition right. The transition kids that are currently in 6th and 7th were the ones that were sent home from kindergarten one Friday afternoon in 2020. And they're the ones who proudly stood next to their teachers on the picket lines, losing a part of their 4th and 5th grade as well. Now they're going to be attending a high school that's going to be a construction site. But I trust that this board will be thorough and thoughtful in your support of these kids and ensuring the best possible fully resourced high school experience for them. They deserve nothing less. Thank you. Go Demos.
I don't think you called me. My name is also Bethany, and I just heard Bethany. So, move on.
Gina Levine, Maria Hine, Eloise Grouch Kohler, Chris Boyce, Daniel Noiser. Gina, do you want to go first?
Hello, my name is Gina Levine, and I'm a PPS parent with 5th and 7th graders at Fabian School. The PPS materials for Jefferson is Rising make two priorities unmistakably clear. Number one, Jeff must have the enrollment needed for full comprehensive programming. And number two, PPS must not repeat a history of giving North and Northeast students fewer opportunities than their peers. Scenario B supports these commitments, and Scenario C undermines them. And a public recommendation from our superintendent last week, before listening sessions are finished, feeds a growing mistrust. Families who have stayed committed to PPS through COVID, through the teacher strike, through budget deficits, are once again being asked to trust a shifting process, and we're showing up, and we're participating, and what we see is a recommendation that doesn't reflect input. This approach is counterproductive. Like, why are we here? Why did you send a postcard to my house to come and get feedback if it's already been decided? I also want to address the transition years. Many of us have 5th through 7th graders who will attend Jefferson while it's still under construction. This is a heavy ask, and if the district expects families to make that leap, PPS must make real concrete commitments to those students with additional funding to ensure no electives or core classes are dropped due to temporary under-enrollment, and with clear unified communication on what programming Jefferson will actually offer and how that will be implemented during the transition years. Will students have AP? Will they have IB? Will PCC continue to be a choice? Will sports, arts, and clubs have full practice and competitive opportunities? Right now, every PPS representative seems to answer differently. That inconsistency is a major source of confusion and frustration. You can't build a comprehensive high school on uncertainty. And let me be clear, we're asking for an explicit amendment to fully fund and support Jefferson through the transition years as part of your scenario vote. No vague promises, no aspirational language, a real guarantee that students entering Jeff over the next several years will receive the full, equitable high school experience that they deserve. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Maria Hine. I'm here representing the Sabin community. I moved into the Sabin community in 1979. I enrolled my first student there in 1985 in the pre-K. There was no PTA, so I and another 2 moms went about founding it. In the next 11 years that I had children at Sabin, I served in every capacity that a parent volunteer could serve in. I continued to be involved in Sabin through my neighborhood association and my service on the land use committee of the neighborhood association. I'm committed to Northeast Portland. I grew up in North Portland. My dad was a Jeff graduate. Most of my cousins were Jeff graduates. I want nothing more than to see Jeff succeed. But I also want to see my community respected. And over the years and my experience as a parent at Sabin, what I have seen does not give me trust in PPS, because Sabin was the poor stepchild of our cluster over and over and over again. And guess what? Sabin was the most diverse school of our cluster. So, draw your own conclusions. I can give you many examples, but really I just want to go on and say that there's a historic precedent for the community as it exists, with Sabin as a part of the Grant community. My husband's cousins went to Grant over 50 years ago. They lived a block from where I live now. Others have said, well, things change, but there is a historic precedent. Our kids learn to swim at Grant High School. Our kids are involved in junior soccer, football, baseball, have you, with Irvington teams, Irvington and Alameda teams. That is their community. That is what they know. And the other thing that I want to reiterate that I have heard over and over and over again tonight, and it goes back to my distrust with the district over the years of promises that say that were not kept at Sabin. I want to see you promise that those students who are going to come to Jefferson will get a full and comprehensive program. And if that means that option B is the best package for them, then that's what I want. The last thing I want to say is that if you do this, you will create Lincoln East at Grant High School, and that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Danielle Moser, and I'm a parent of a 2nd and 5th grader at Fabian School. I appreciate the opportunity to provide comment tonight and to you to listen to all of us and all of our input. And while my preferred scenario is scenario B, I do think that scenario C can be sufficient with comprehensive programming, resources, and the support that is needed to ensure this transition. As proud members of the Fabian community, we are so grateful for the opportunity to be at a school with such a diverse and engaged community. It matters a lot to my family, and it's the reason we go there and we've stayed there, and we will continue to bring that dedication and passion and connection to community when we attend Jefferson, and we're excited to do so. Like any parent in PPS, we want to ensure that kids who attend Jefferson, including my kids, have access to the same academic, extracurricular, cultural, and all the important options that other PPS students have been afforded for many years. And so I look forward to working with you together to ensure we can achieve this for Jefferson and for all students across Portland. Thank you.
Hey, my name's Chris Boyce. I have a 7th grader at Tubman and a 4th grader at Sabin. And honestly, I've been scribbling notes all night because my clear thoughts have completely fallen apart as I've heard everyone's statements, and I really appreciate everyone coming out and what they've been saying. And I appreciate the tone of we can disagree, but we shouldn't disrespect each other, and I think that's really important going forward. What I would like to speak to is I feel like the engagement process for the changes has been fundamentally flawed. Rather than true community engagement, we were presented with 3 predetermined scenarios and told to choose between them. When community members took the initiative to develop an alternative scenario that we called Scenario F, it was dismissed outright, compared against a already rejected plan, and wasn't given fair consideration. This process the process reflects troubling pattern in the district's own engagement summary report, where it noted feedback does not comprise representative samples. Additional data needs to be collected. There's disrupted trust and dissatisfaction in the engagement process and a fundamental lack of clarity. Additionally, there was discussion on Facebook by a board member that we need some flex in the attendance areas south and east of Jefferson High School when elementary school consolidation occurs. This statement's critical. It means more upheaval is coming. We are making attendance area changes now when consolidation is on the horizon. I appreciate that you have made a commitment to academic programming that will be discussed further this week. And I want to end with a statement that declining enrollment in North and Northeast high schools is a real issue that deserves thoughtful solutions. Change is needed to address Jefferson's low enrollment, change that is long overdue. But we need to develop authentic partnerships among all of the high schools in North and Northeast Portland, communities and the neighborhoods, partnerships built on trust and collaboration. Instead, this rushed process and the approach is lacking adequate engagement has created further division among the very communities it claims to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kate Lefko, Addie Humbert, Bethany Wolford, Maria Lawley, and Courtney Crow.
I'll go because I'll get too nervous. If I have to sit there, I'll get nervous.
Can I just start? Hi, my name is Kate Curler-Lefko, and I'm the parent of students at Beach Elementary and Ockley Green Middle School. I'm also the president of the Ockley Green Supporters, Ockley Green's PTA, and the school social worker at Peninsula Elementary. I am excited about the future of Jefferson and my children having the opportunity to be part of a school with a rich cultural history, strong school pride, and a sense of community. We are a family currently in the Jeff Grant dual assignment who's excited to be zoned to Jeff. Thank you. I felt inspired when I attended the Jefferson Modernization meeting and learned about the ways the design and build team were integrating this rich cultural history of Jefferson, its legacy as an anchor to the Black community, and things like a sense of family, school pride, and vibrancy into the design. I appreciated what Principal Shelton shared at this meeting about both preserving the cultural feel of what makes Jeff Jeff while also welcoming new students and families to the school with the rezoning. At the same time, as the parent of a 7th grader, I hope the district invests in ensuring as smooth as a transition as possible for this new expanded cohort. We are already asking a lot of current 6th and 7th graders to be in a building next door to construction. They also should not receive subpar elective options or haphazard last-minute teachers added to staffing. The communication thus far about the transition has not left me feeling like there's a clear plan in place yet. I'm asking for a clear plan, which should also include qualified, culturally responsive teachers excited to be at Jeff for the additional staffing here. Do things like pay for an extra PD day for new staff to join with established staff to create a cohesive team and sense of community for these incoming students. This is just one example of investment. I want the district to stand firm in offering at a minimum the same level of electives, extracurriculars, and advanced classes as other comprehensive high school. The middle school college option is amazing, but it might not be the right fit for students who don't want to take classes with adults or off campus. I've heard from Jefferson staff and students that Jeff is a strong community today, and I hope that it will only get stronger as the student population grows and academic and extracurricular activities grow with it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Addie Humbert, and I have a 7th grader at Ockley Green who is very bored right back there, and I appreciate him coming tonight. We are thrilled that the dual enrollment options are going away, and we are thrilled to be a Jeff family and to have his friends from Ockley likely going there too. I think it's a wonderful choice. But I would like to use, and I would urge the board to make the changes in a manner that do not give unfair weight to the most powerful and privileged voices in the proverbial room, here and elsewhere. I would also like to use some of my time to speak to other parents, especially those who, like me, have a variety of privileges, racial, social, economic, that afford them school choice and also make their voices often louder in these discussions. Simply put, if your kids end up going to Jeff, they're going to be fine. They are going to be fine. They will find community and they will experience joy and they will have all of the ups and downs that all high schoolers are going to experience. And there are going to be challenges along the way because this is public education and it's PPS, and you will use your very powerful voices to fight for staffing and funding at the state and local and school level, and that work will benefit not just your kid, but a community that has been desperate for resources for decades. I see this as a very unique parenting opportunity, personally. It's one where we can show our kids, with our actions, not just our words, that we know them to be resilient, that we believe our children can change course and still thrive, that they can join an existing school community with grace and compassion and self-reflection and humility. And through that work, they will become better students, better people, better neighbors, better classmates, better citizens. That work is important. Community is important. Our neighbors are important. Jefferson is important. The voters in the community have made very clear that they want Jefferson to continue to exist. Given that reality, I think as a community, we have a responsibility to come together and make that happen in a fair and equitable way. And those conversations, that work, it starts in your home, talking with your family, and especially with your children. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want to follow that, but good evening. My name is Courtney Crow, and I'm the parent of a 6th and 4th grader at Vernon K-8. I've lived in this area for nearly 20 years, and I feel both excited and apprehensive about Jefferson's transition to a neighborhood school. I've followed and been disappointed by the delays and mismanaged promises made to a community that should have been at the front of the modernization line, particularly given the fact that dual assignment created the complicated enrollment mess that we find ourselves in today. I'm here to ask the board to bravely choose scenario B. Scenario B best addresses the historical inequities in North and Northeast Portland, advances enrollment to establish a truly comprehensive high school, and ensures that all Jefferson students receive the educational opportunities they deserve. If the superintendent's disappointing recommendation of scenario C procedurally prevents that, I urge you to amend scenario C by including language that guarantees parity of academic, athletic, and extracurricular programming from day one. Our daughter and her middle school peers will be among the first to attend Jefferson as a neighborhood school. Thankfully, as you heard, our daughter has always known she wanted to be a Jefferson Democrat due to the school's strong presence in the Northeast community and her aspiration to be a Jefferson dancer. The end of dual assignment is something she looks forward to because it means that she will be able to advance to high school with her close-knit Vernon community, and we see great value in keeping middle school cohorts together instead of separating children along racial and socioeconomic lines. Our Vernon students have already experienced limited or no access to diverse programming available at other K-5 and standalone middle schools, and our school recently lost its IB status. What we cannot accept is for Jefferson students to face construction and a challenging transition while also being deprived of the comprehensive programming available at the other PPS high schools. Jefferson High deserves parity in programming, and anything less is unacceptable. Go Demos. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Maria Lally, and I'm the parent of a 4th and 1st grader at Vernon K-8. We are proud to be part of a supportive and thoughtful community and are excited by the future our children might have at Jefferson as a comprehensive neighborhood high school. First of all, I'm concerned with the superintendent's recent endorsement for scenario C because it is not doing the most to increase the pool of students for Jefferson, putting programming at risk. It feels as if an exception is being made for Irvington based on socioeconomic rationale rather than anything substantive for the greater good. Not to mention that Irvington feeds into Tubman, and option B would keep the middle school cohort together. The fact that Irvington peels off in that scenario feels glaring, honestly. Proximity has been brought up as a reason, but I can speak to this personally. Our home is closer to Grant High School than it is to Jefferson. And currently we're dual enrolled for McDaniel, and Grant is so much closer than McDaniel. But that's just not the situation for us, like many other families. And you deal with it because presumably those changes were made, those lines were drawn for a reason. And we're in that same situation right now. Similarly, our home is equidistant between both Sabin and Vernon, yet we knew Vernon was our school district and have embraced that as our community once we had school-age children. We know that drawing lines is difficult, but all members of all neighborhoods have to deal with this, not just Sabin and Irvington. C seems to make concessions for families that cannot comprehend a scenario for their high school to be anything other than Grant, while other communities and neighborhoods are expected to sacrifice. There shouldn't be any sacrifices for anybody who attends Jefferson. All of those students should get the same that other students in PPS are getting at the high school level. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, school board members and Dr. Armstrong. My name is Bethany Wofford, and I'm the parent of an Ockley Green 7th grader and a former Woodlawn Wildcat. As a side note, I myself was a military brat, so I just never knew what school I was going to go to next year and lost my friends every year, and I somehow survived all of that. Our family is so glad that our daughter had the opportunity to attend a neighborhood school with dedicated educators and a supportive, engaged community, and we hope to continue that trajectory with Jefferson High School in 2027. I'm here today asking you to do what we elected you to do and make the best decision for the whole community of students in North and Northeast Portland. Your responsibility is to implement the scenario that provides the best chance of success for all students by ensuring that all of our high schools, including Jefferson, have sufficient enrollment to support a robust and comprehensive program of academics and extracurricular activities. I do not believe it is your job to make decisions based on the desires of individual families, no matter how loud and persistent their voices may be or emotional their stories. In particular, I ask you not to be influenced by the expectations of homeowners who may feel entitled to being zoned for a particular school, but rather to raise all our schools to the level that we can all be proud of our students being a part of. I do think it is critical for the board to consider the historic disinvestment in Jefferson and the obligation PPS has to ensure that Jefferson has the resources and commitments to the community that has maintained their connection and loyalty to the school. It appears to me that because of mistakes made in the past that enabled the downturn in enrollment at Jefferson, the board should make a clear and concerted effort to elevate the needs of Jefferson compared to other high schools in the district that benefited from rebuilding and enhancements years before Jefferson. In conclusion, I ask you to use the data and your knowledge to choose the enrollment scenario that will provide the best possible outcome for our students, and not to start out the new chapter at Jefferson by carving out parts of the boundary in ways that will undermine the future of the school. Our family looks forward to being part of the continuing legacy of excellence and community at Jefferson High School.
Nate Appy, Robin Rom, Nina Sana, Elizabeth Osberger, Jesse Mermethieu.
Hello, I'm Nathan Oppie. I have a 7th grader and a 4th grader at Vernon. My grandmother graduated from Grant High School in 1939, and my family lives closer to Grant than to Jefferson, but none of that matters because that is not the issue. The issue is that Portland's public schools don't have equal resources or equal programming. I was on a Zoom call that covered the various options for Jefferson, and it was concerning because it sounds like we have one school that's considered a great school, and it has a lot of resources, and affluent families are flocking to that school. And at the same time, we have another school, and that's considered a not-so-great school, and it doesn't have the same resources. And some parents are very upset and protesting to keep their kids out of Jefferson because they're deeply distressed that their kids' experience will be drastically worse. And after that Zoom call, it was very clear to me that we're dealing with systemic inequality, class issues, and race issues, and dual assignment has created a dual standard. We cannot ignore this inequality. We should not allow this situation to divide us. We have a real opportunity here to address inequality and bring our community together. Instead of an auditorium of individuals arguing to do what's best, me for my child and you for your child, let's take this opportunity to do what's best for our children. Whatever plan we choose needs to ensure that all of our schools are on the same level from day one. If it is true that equal enrollment is the only way to ensure equal resources and programming, then the only solution is equal enrollment, and so I support scenario B.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Osberger, and I'm a Vernon K-8 parent and proud to be a Jefferson demo someday. I urge you to adopt scenario B for the Jefferson enrollment plan. PPS repeatedly stated that this boundary redesign would avoid perpetuating the harm of splitting communities, yet scenario C does exactly that. Pulling Irvington out of the Jefferson boundary fractures the Harriet Tubman feeder community and contradicts PPS's equity commitments. It repeats the same patterns of division that have historically harmed North and Northeast Portland, communities already shaped by redlining, displacement, and decades of inequitable investment. As a Vernon parent, I also need to highlight that our K-8 model already provides fewer opportunities, fewer electives, limited arts, little access to world languages, and fewer academic opportunities. The very least PPS can do is ensure that our students enter a fully resourced and truly comprehensive Jefferson High School from day one. Scenario B is the only scenario that ensures Jefferson has the enrollment, economic integration, and long-term stability needed for strong academics, arts, electives, and athletics. Scenario C jeopardizes this by sending higher income, majority white communities away from Jefferson and weakening the enrollment base necessary for comprehensive programming. And it does more than that. It removes families who often bring resources, time, and social capital to advocate for continued investment. Historically under-resourced schools communities like Jefferson have long been denied those advantages. Concentrating privilege elsewhere only deepens inequity. If PPS is serious about equity, then there must be accountability. Accountability to provide Jefferson students with the same comprehensive high school experience available across the district, and accountability to avoid choices that further racial and economic inequities. Scenario B is the only choice that honors PPS's mission, supports long-term stability, and ensures equitable access to comprehensive programming for all students in North and Northeast Portland. Thank you for your time.
My name is Jackie Hatfield. I have been part of the Grant community for over 40 years. Our family association with Grant spans 4 generations. My mother-in-law, Sharon, taught in the IED program and coached at Grant for many years. My husband coached pole vault at Grant for 23 years, sending many athletes to state, with 3 becoming state champions. He had been planning to assist in coaching again when our grandchildren and their friends, all aspiring generals, entered Grant High School. Many of their parents, including my 3 daughters, are Grant alums. These kids have grown up running at on the track at Grant, swimming and playing in Grant Park, attending soccer and football games and track meets in the Grant Bowl. They know the fight song. They chant, "You should have been a general," along with the current student body. Now the question is, will they get the chance? I understand the value of community. The Grant community has enriched the lives of my family and friends in immeasurable ways. I expect and admire that generations of Jefferson families feel the same passion and commitment for their community. Jefferson deserves a wonderful new school to serve its residents. That community should not include Sabin and Irvington, great schools which have historically been part of the Grant cluster. Schools my 3 daughters attended. We should all have faith that each community is strong enough to thrive and excel without taking students away from their historical neighborhood schools. I hope that future generations of Jefferson students will be proud to be Democrats, and that the children in the Grant community will realize their dream of becoming Grant generals. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Merrithew, and I'm the proud parent of a Boise Elliott 4th grader and a Tubman 7th grader. Right now, my 7th grader is at the gym in Tubman Middle School, and he's playing basketball with his basketball team. That team is made up of a diverse array, both racially and economically, that doesn't exist hardly anywhere else in this country. And they're all wearing the uniform of the Jefferson Demos. If the board follows the superintendent's recommendation, he and most of his teammates, along with 400 or so other kids, will be going to Jefferson High School in the fall of 2027. 2 of his teammates will not be going to Jeff because these kids live in Irvington, and the superintendent is recommending that these students be segregated out from the rest of the Tubman community to attend Grant. I think that's a poor decision, but it is ultimately not my problem. I am not the one who will have to explain to these kids why they have to go to a different high school than all their friends, or attempt to make teams where they have no relationship with the coaches or the school. I am mostly concerned about the superintendent's recommendation because of what it portends for the second step of this well-worn playbook. The first step is to come up with rules that allow the wealthiest, widest parts of our community to avoid sending their kids to Jeff. The second step is the insidious step, and that's when the resource decisions are made. And if we follow the same playbook that we followed for the last 70 years, Jefferson will once again get less resources than the other schools in this community. We could choose to do things differently this time. We could choose to recognize the biases that led America's schools to continue with de facto segregation 60 years after Brown versus Board of Education. We could choose to acknowledge that the basketball team practicing in the gym of Tubman Middle School right now is a different, more optimistic view of a future for our community. And we could choose that future. We could choose a future where kids from a wide array of economic and racial backgrounds work together as a team for a common goal. Or we could choose to do the same things we have always done. That is up to you.
Catherine Stoutman, Alexandra Gibney, Ben Loftus, Mamal Changi.
Hi, my name is Ben Loftus, and I have kids at Vernon. I'd like to express my support for scenario B. Really, I think, we fast forward to what Jefferson is going to be, and it is going to be the flagship school that PPS shows other school districts what we're able to do. And I think to not include the Irvington school and those kids that are going to be going to the same middle school but have to divert back to Grant, when all of the data that we've seen and been presented by the Portland Public School, Jefferson and Rising information, that scenario B meets more of your own goals, I really think that you should be asking yourself that question: why would you deny the kids at Irvington the opportunity to come to a school like Jefferson? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alexandra Gibney. I am the parent to a 4th and 2nd grader at Vernon K-8 and to 2 younger preschool age kids. My family is excited and proud to be future Jefferson Democrats. I'm excited to join the already vibrant Jefferson community. I'm excited for my kids to continue their education with their friends and classmates at Vernon with whom they have deep connections. I'm excited for them to go to school with their neighbors that they've met through sports and other extracurricular activities. And I'm excited for my kids to attend a school in a neighborhood that we already spend a lot of time in. And I'm really excited for the new building. I think it's going to be amazing. I think Jefferson will be a great school because it is a great school already. But it does not have, but I do have some concerns. First, I'm concerned that of how PPS is going to ensure parity between Jefferson and the other comprehensive high schools from day one. I agree with others that have proposed a suggestion of an amendment to scenario C if that's what's happening. of ensuring that there's funding and an investment made on the front end for these students to get the same educational opportunities as the students at Grant and McDaniel and Roosevelt and everywhere else. And I do want to respond to some comments that I've heard tonight. I think having deep historical ties to a school is a privilege, not a right. Our students have a right to the same wonderful education that everyone has access to. Deep historical ties to a school don't exist for people when their community had an interstate built on it, when the school was this dual enrollment that made students pull away from Jefferson. So those sort of heartstring arguments that have been made on the other side, I think, really, gosh, there's just something missing there. And by looking at the map of the schools that will attend Grant, Irvington, Alameda, Laurelhurst, Beverly Cleary, it seems tone deaf at best for those to be the schools feeding into Grant, the richest, whitest neighborhoods in Northeast Portland, and intentionally entrenching sort of this divide at worst. And I don't know.
Katie Leathers, Josh Wendroff, Jennifer Duncan, Nina Lewis, Natasha Coleman. You can go ahead and
Are we
start.
good? Okay. Hello, I'm a second-generation Mexican immigrant, and my children will be fifth-generation generals living just 0.6 miles from Grant and 3.1 miles from Jefferson. I have heard the rhetoric over and over again that Irvington Schools is fed by solely affluent families, but that's leaving out the experience that many students who live in many apartments and multifamily homes that make up a large part of the population of Irvington catchment. Thank you. I am deeply saddened by the lack of community outreach from the district to Sabin and Irvington, where our history and roots are similarly as deep as those in the Jefferson community. Scenario C leaves Grant with just 4 feeder schools versus 8 at Jefferson. Scenario B cripples Grant with only 3 feeder schools and bumps Jefferson to 9. Scenario B is far from balanced. This is about numbers and common sense proximity. I have spent 10 years working in the school attendance offices in both K-8s and high schools in the district, and there are 2 things I can speak to. 1, high school is a melting pot. Kids are coming from everywhere, and the overall impact to splitting them is minimal, even helping to make Portland feel like a small town because you get to know kids from all over the district. Actually, quite a gift. The second thing I can speak to is attendance, and I can tell you with certainty that there is a direct connection to proximity and showing up on time, if at all. I also have to ask, what are you doing to court back the families that have not only left the Jefferson community, but have left PPS to fill the halls of Central Catholic and De La Salle North? Is it just prayer, or do you have a plan? Thank you.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Ma'am?
Yes.
I don't know
who's speaking.
The one who just spoke, I didn't catch her name.
Oh, I'm Katie Leathers.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Duncan. I went to school here, 64 to 68. I taught here 1998 to 2014. I have been a member of the community the entire time. I have seen Jefferson with over 2,000, with about 2,300 students, and many services, activities, things that students loved and enjoyed. And I've seen where there were only 400 students when I was teaching, and the disservice that we had. So I am for sunsetting this, I didn't come prepared to speak, but I decided to. I agree that we must sunset the dual assignment of Jefferson, and I vote for the C project. It's a disservice not to allow our neighborhood students to attend. It's a disservice not to enrich the student population with a diverse group of people who have close proximity to the school. With the program that we would get from the C enrollment project, we would be strengthening diversity, the benefits of a greater population, the services are more available, there's a greater variety of subjects, easy access to the community school, and children stay where there are greater offerings. I have seen this firsthand, where even our rally, there were like 200 students. There were service clubs. There's all sorts of things that you can offer when you have a comprehensive school that you cannot offer when there are only 400 students. And so for that reason, I would like you to consider and make sure that we have C and a comprehensive school. Thank you.
Am I supposed to wait for this little thing?
No, you can go right away. Earn some extra.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. You know, all right. So my name is Natasha Coleman. I have 2 high school graduates from Jefferson. I have a junior at Jefferson, and I have 2 first graders at Boise Elementary. I came to listen tonight, and I was not going to speak, but why I chose to speak is because all night I have heard them, they, us. All I've heard is the descendants of those who created and initiated gentrification complain because their children will not be able to walk outside and go to school across the street, or they'll have to cross the street somewhere else. I haven't heard anything about community, even though everyone who has used equity in their speech is now gone because this auditorium is empty. So what I wanted to say is, regardless to what scenario is chosen, I do think that C is a great option, and I do know that the community who is mostly impacted by these schools voted on it, and I am one of them. I stood up here tonight to say that what I am misunderstanding is how the entitlement of the caucasity. And for those who don't know what that means entitlement of Caucasian people. Now, don't get me wrong, I got some white people who coming with me when it's time to go, but everybody came. And so that's what's not fair, is because that's how we got here, is because those who believe that they are above us and that they live in Sabin and Vernon and they go to Grant because they've put themselves in an income restricted area, now feel like, how dare they district ask my children to go over there to that community or over there across that street, which is ridiculous. So I just wanted to say that we need to be very careful and pick and choose what we need to talk about and the importance, because regardless to where your children learn to swim, that's not teaching them life skills. Regardless to where your children go to school, doesn't matter. I've been walking and catching the bus and crossing Maxes and everything else since I was born, and I am 45 years old. So all of this whining and crying that I'm hearing, I'm done. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Tasha. We're definitely legacy and generational when we speak. I too felt compelled and did not prepare, and I came to listen. My name is Nana Lewis. I'm a Jefferson alumni, class of 1998. I have a senior here at Jefferson, and mind you, my senior at Jefferson went to Central Catholic for 2 years. I am a generational legacy. I am a 3rd generational homeowner on Rodney and Going, and I have neighbors who send their kids to other schools as well. As Tasha mentioned, we have been crossing MLK for generations. We have been we have walked the walk. Our communities have sacrificed. We've been bussed out. We've been shipped out. We've been all of those things. And so we're asking for you to return the favor and be in community with us tonight. I don't care if you go to Sabin, Irvington, it's time for you to leverage your social economic power and make this community a stronger community, because a win for Jefferson is a win for all. A win for Jefferson is a win for the Portland community. Your kids will be the kids that grow up and be our police officers. They'll be our firefighters. They'll be our people that are serving. And so when they pull over a young black man, what is that relationship if they can't sit in a classroom with them? What does that look like? And so we're asking for you to shift the burden. We're asking for you to understand that there is a need for us to want to shift the narrative from being underserved to served, from being underrepresented to represented. I worked too hard to not be served, right? I went to Jefferson, I went to Lewis and Clark College. I have a master's from Willamette. What makes your kid not safe around me and my son, right? Like, why can't your kid cross MLK with my kid? So Portland nice and all of those things, that has to go. Like, you want to say you want Jefferson to win, but the only way for you to do that is for you to stand up and walk with us across this line. And I don't care what option it is.
Thank you.
James Robertson. Last one.
Hello, and thanks for everyone for being here tonight. I'm James Robertson. I moved to Portland 3 years ago. I'm a mile from the school. I walked over, began to talk to folks about this school. Wow, Jefferson. And then I heard stories. I was like, it's a small school. Why is it so small? I have no idea. What, 2,000 kids at one point? The best school in the district at one point? And yet, 394 students. Huh. Someone dropped the ball there. Oh, gentrification, yeah, that hurts. Moving people out, yeah, that hurts. And now we have an opportunity to say, how do we re-resource that school? And it's tough when you're used to these schools. I mean, I went to U.S. Grant in Oklahoma City. I went 7 miles away. My sister went to Northwest Classen, within walking distance. We made that switch. We were bused. It was hard, scary, but we learned. Found new friends, found new connections. Still have a connection with my neighborhood, my sister and her school, but I had this other thing going on. But it is scary because, believe it or not, Jeff is a black school. Black culture, black community. We embrace people. I've been a wrestling coach here for 3 years, volunteer. Been a track coach here, volunteer. I ain't got a kid, I'm on PTSA. And I'm 66 years old. Is that crazy? I found joy in the school. The options, I can't tell you which one's the best, but I do want it to be a great opportunity to reinvest in the school. Let's come together, forget our biases, support this school as we go forward. Thank you.
That concludes who I have signed up for public comment.
All right, thank you. Before we end today, I just want to thank everyone who took the courage to share their thoughts and their ideas and their just public comment. It improves our work, and we are really happy that all of you are here tonight. Just want a couple announcements before we end. The board will have a work session on this proposal next Tuesday on December 16th. The board is scheduled to vote on an assignment area for Jefferson High School in the January 13th board meeting. Again, thank you all for being here, and hopefully we got you out at a reasonable hour. So thank you. This meeting is adjourned.